So today's video is just a real quick one. It is on crash protection. It is 2020 and I did it again. I dropped this bike. It was dropping it from a standstill. I dropped it on the right hand side. I'm going to take you around and show you what the damage was in a moment. Basically just moving it around my drive and it tipped over too far and just went down. I was holding it most of the way down, but you can only go so far. Then it dropped probably, you know, from half a metre or so. Damage, unless you're looking up close, you're not going to see it, but it is very common for people to drop their bikes. I've gone 5 years without doing any, and in 2020 now I've done it twice. The more you start riding, the more you're going to start moving your bike around, the more you're jumping onto different bikes, the more chance you are going to have, obviously, of dropping. And it's quite refreshing to see. If you follow Yami Noob, if you don't, link down below, and there'll be a card somewhere. Yami is an American rider, very experienced rider, been riding under 10 years. However, he's done track days, off-roading, mechanical work. He himself was quite a exuberant rider, shall we say, on his Daytona triple, until he came unstuck on the road on a very bad crash, but it put a lot of things in perspective for him, and he's covered a lot of videos on that. So if you haven't watched Yami Noob, it's worth watching. His editing's really good. He's a funny guy, but he mentions in one of his videos, because of the amount of bikes he has, his bike shop, etc., he's always dropping bikes, and this is a very experienced rider, someone who moves around and works with bikes all day. So if you do drop your bike, don't feel so bad. Another recent one actually was Nevesy from MCM. Nevesy, who's been obviously riding throughout his whole life, professional rider, and in actual fact the drops that he did, I'll link it below, was on a Panigale V4, the Street Fighter, a bike you definitely don't want to drop, and he dropped it twice in one day, filming a video on how to ride like a test rider, ironically. So if you do drop, don't feel so bad, but do get the crash protection stuff that, you know, I'm listing here, because at the end of the day, it's going to save you a little bit of heartache in the long run. With regards to the install of these products on the bike, I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. There is a brilliant video from High Speed Touring. I'm going to link again below to his 2 videos. Now he's got 2 videos, one on the Evo Tech, which is the BMW M spec. So he's done the side rails, etc. with them. So and then there's another one on the R&G stuff, which is what I'm putting on this bike. His video was fantastic, so no need to show you me putting the same stuff on here, where you can just watch his video that goes a little bit more in depth, better tools, better setup. So do click the link or the cards if they're appearing somewhere on the screen. So the first thing to see is obviously here on the brake lever where it came down. Now on this particular brake lever, you can see like these holes here, they are to allow a bit of breakage, so you don't actually pull on your, you know, master cylinder up here or anything like that. So if I show you actually round on this side here, you can see the all important groove. This is designed so it definitely snaps here, so if I dropped it on this side, this would have snapped for sure. That snaps, so again it doesn't pull on this lever up here, and it also means you can ride it home missing this piece. How do I know? Because that's what happened on the F900 that I foolishly dropped. So basically you've got your graze that will happen here. You can see here on the indicators, now these are going to stick out the furthest on your bike, so these are always going to get caught. About over 100 quid to repair these, but there's not a lot you can do protection wise on that. You can obviously get bar end mirrors, etc. So as the bike fell and dropped, the mirror got caught, little scuff on there. It will come out over time, nothing too damaging. Little scuff again on here, and had I have had a better bar end cover, which is what is going on, you can see where that fits. That means that this will just get a scratch along here, and that will save that piece there. As we go down the bike, there was nothing to the front, so the front forks are absolutely fine, but unfortunately here on the fairing, little scratch here, and on the grills, little scratch here. Again, nothing too bad, could have been a lot worse. Unfortunately, you're not going to buff plastic out, but as I get on the bike, this is an area sometimes your boot will catch, you know, as you move around. You know, fairings will get a little bit, so over time I'm not too concerned, but obviously if, where does that go? It goes there. If the aero protector was here, you can see the gap that you know, that will protect all of that fairing area there, so that's good to have it on. And because it was on the right hand side, there was nothing here on the engine casing because the fairing itself protected it, but as we move around here on the exhaust, you can see a couple of little dinks down here. Again, these are quite thin pliable aluminium, so you know, you're always going to pick up some knocks here with your boot up here coming off, you know, moving the bike around. So again, I wasn't too disappointed, but for the sake of £30, it's worth putting a little crash protector on. And of course then here we have the R&G spindles or bobbins, which will protect to a certain extent this swing arm. What you can get is like the front here, a fork protector, a rear swing arm that comes through the middle here. But again, if I'm going to be doing something that's going to be creating problems on this or bending it, then it's going to be an insurance claim rather than just a cheap drop. But on a cheap drop, if we come around to the other side, on here you can see, without the exhaust in the way, this does protrude enough to protect the frame here. And of course, you know, your pegs would probably slide up, so that does make this the furthest sticking out on the bike. So fork protectors, again, £30, really easy to install, but what you are protecting here is your whole front end here. So you're protecting your brakes, your discs, the forks themselves, the fairing up here. On a small drop, that's going to be quite a significant. Basically, every panel on here, every piece that you're protecting, it's roughly about £150. So £30 to save £150. And also, it's not just saving it the once. If you drop 2 or 3 times, you're saving it multiple times over. Another big protection you can do is obviously the engine casings, but they weren't too bad actually. Engine casings were about 200 quid for the whole set, and I just love this bronze colour scheme that comes through, and I wouldn't want to cover it up with what essentially is a black cover over the top. You can also get these covers that sort of go onto the side and they stick out a bit. They're a lot nicer, they're the best of both worlds, but my view is that is actually more a crash rather than a drop, and this crash protection that I'm putting on is more to save the bike in the event of a drop rather than if it was a crash. If it was a crash, then that's probably going to be an insurance claim rather than just me fixing this in my garage. So as always guys, I hope this video has been useful for you, and give us a like and subscribe and ask any questions in the comments if you have any. Thank you.